Evening everyone, welcome to the south coast of England under slate skies. A chilly evening with rain dotting in the air. And then there were two. Well, after watching Arsenal bounce back to blitz Chelsea and Liverpool's form fall off a cliff, Pep Guardiola's side know they can't afford to take their foot off the gas. Weary and wounded at the weekend, he says he thinks it's a miracle that they are still going the way the schedule is. But here they are, 6 wins away from a 4th successive Premier League title. But this Premier League spring is an unsettled one. Only 2 sides have remained unbeaten in the last 5 Premier League games. One of them is Brentford and the other one is Manchester City. And City just about escaped from Wembley with the hopes of a double intact. Now they have to beat Brighton, and not many do that here. Brighton had gone 14 home games unbeaten before Arsenal thumped them in the first week of April, and they'd seen off Ajax, Marseille, Roma and Tottenham Hotspur in that run, as well as drawing with Liverpool. Plus, they haven't played for nearly 2 weeks, so they are rested and they are recuperated. Jared Gillett is the referee tonight. VAR watching from on high is John Brooks. Manchester City in their change kit, their 3rd kit, which is black with turquoise trim, lightning blue shocks and a flash of fluorescent pink on the sponsor and around the crests. And for Brighton, it's the home kit of blue and white stripes, blue sleeves, blue shorts and socks, and they'll attack the goal away to our right in this first half. What a weekend of football we've got for you live on TalkSport. There's so many games on Saturday. You'll turn your radio on at 11 o'clock in the morning, and you won't have to turn it off till 11 o'clock tonight without missing a single kick of live football. We've got loads, including West Ham against Liverpool on the TalkSport network, and the conclusion to the Championship title race as well. But it's the Premier League title race this evening that we're focusing on. Liverpool dropped points last night. Arsenal absolutely bulldozed Chelsea on Tuesday night. What are we getting tonight, Scott Minto?
It's going to be fascinating to see, isn't it? I think the fact that Brighton have rested a little bit and City are going again game after game after game might be a little bit of a leveller physically, but I do think Pep Guardiola has purposely picked a lot of midfielders in this side to try and control the tempo of the game. They want to control it, not Brighton, especially knowing how good Brighton can be at home with the fans behind them.
Lallana plays it into Paleva, comes back down the left-hand side. There was a late change by Guardiola, looked like he handballed it anyway, and there is an issue on this near touchline for Danny Welbeck, who's slowly getting back to his feet. It's back with Manchester City on this near touchline. It's Kovacic out wide towards Alvarez, who's on the left edge of the penalty area, skating into the box now. Gross is backing off, it goes into the area, it's cleared away by Veltman, and it's up towards the middle of the Brighton half. And it'll be interesting to see how Danny Welbeck reacts to that. He doesn't look particularly happy. He's moving gingerly down in front of us. Brighton need a quite outrageous, they required quite outrageous own goal to get them back into the game at Turf Moor 12 days ago. City watched as Nicholas Jackson gave up quite a ridiculous number of chances at Wembley as they earned a place in the Cup final for a 2nd successive season. And these two always produce a spectacle. Let's hope they continue that trend tonight. I was here last year for what was an entertaining fixture between the two, where not much was left to play for. In Cisse with one of the goals of the season. It was so good that it was nominated for a Puskás Award. A highly technical and tactical game played at a breakneck pace. City won the title by then. And to win it this year, they can't afford to drop points down at Brighton. Foden trying to squirm away from Van Hecke, won by Welbeck, onto Gross, edge of the area, tries to feed the ball towards Welbeck, it comes back off the defender. He was aiming for João Pedro, I think, but it fell to Welbeck and his shot came very quick and fast along the floor, and it was saved by Edison.
Yeah, I think what we will see is basically a great game of football. Two teams really trying to play nice intricate passing. I think Brighton will try and nick the ball as much as they possibly can off City and then try and counter very quickly, but City have quality ball, then they'll sit back.
Foden being sent through the middle by Bernardo Silva. It's cut out by Brighton, and Joel Veltman plays it into midfield. Jakob Moder under pressure gives the ball away, and Bernardo Silva's got it midway inside opposition territory. Down the left, De Bruyne tries to keep it alive. A low cross which is dealt with by Van Hecke, who is been playing regularly over the last few months with the injuries that they've had. It's a 23rd Premier League start of the season. In fact, a 23rd start in a row in the Premier League for Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Roberto De Zerbi a little bit animated in the early stages of this game. He's wearing all black tonight, looking like he could be an ultra behind the goal at the San Siro, apart from those trainers, which are brighter than the floodlights.
They're probably worth about a season ticket somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe in the Tunnel Club next to us, where you get a free blanket, I've noticed. I'm waiting for someone to discard theirs. Here is De Bruyne, just inside the Brighton half of the field. João Pedro gets hold of the ball. It's kicked out of play by De Bruyne, and it goes out for a throw midway inside the Brighton half. Brighton haven't finished their European quest just yet. I noticed that because everywhere you look in and around this stadium, they're advertising a Eurovision watch-along. I think they're trying to keep the European season going. May the 11th, apparently. You can buy tickets for 20 quid a head to watch Eurovision in the lounge here. £20 per person. And it goes on till 1 a.m.
Well, they want to try and celebrate being in Europe or having a European season as long as possible. Clearly.
Why not?
It's incredible to think how far they've come to, and they did what they did in the Europa League as well. It's an amazing sitting here looking at the stadium when not that long ago they were on their knees, and I think there's a lot of people to thank, but the biggest one, the genius here at this club, is the man at the top, Tony Bloom.
Well, I mentioned the quest hadn't finished just yet as Verbruggen plays the ball out from the back, short and sharp into Dunk, and then he sends it square into Van Hecke. This is their style of play. They will play out from the back and they'll try and beat the high press from Manchester City. It goes back to Van Hecke after a bit of pressure from Bernardo Silva, and it's cleared away by Verbruggen out to the far side, the left. And starting for the first time, Barco, who's very slender, takes it in, deals with it well under pressure. What a way to start your first Premier League game against Manchester City of all people. Up to Lallana, good touch by João Pedro, and then it was engaged and won by Carl Walker, but João Pedro's got it back again, and then Welbeck runs through the middle. He's got support on the right hand side from Veltman, who's bursting up outside him. João Pedro allowed to run a long way, and then Veltman's return ball is a poor one. He just sort of wafted his right foot at it really and just tried to help it on, and it went straight into Grosko Vardiol and took out towards this near touchline.
No, but that's where City are at the most vulnerable. A wonderful team on the ball, but if they lose the ball, then with a bit of pace or quick passing, then they can be got at, the City defence. And obviously with one of the back four stepping into midfield, if they can suddenly get in behind, with the pace that Brighton do have, they can hurt City tonight.
And I say Verbruggen, I meant Jason Steele is in goal tonight. It's his third appearance in 11 Premier League games, Jason Steele. They've changed that goalkeeper a number of times over the course of the season. Here is Rodri out towards the far side, trying to find Akanji into Foden, then back infield to Kovacic. Kovacic nudges it through to Akanji once again. It's taken in by Akanji and then back to the halfway line.
I think Jason Steele, though, sorry Sam, the reason why he's in, especially against a team like Manchester City, is because of the way that he wants to play. He wants his team to play. He's a very good footballer as well as a goalkeeper. He's seen off plenty of goalkeepers, isn't he, already?
Here is Bernardo Silva in the centre circle, back to Kovacic. I mentioned that people think that Brighton have got nothing to play for. That's not true, because they face Chelsea, Newcastle and Manchester United, the three teams that are above them in the table before the end of the season, so they can climb significantly up their league should they get 3 points in that match. They'll climb significantly should they get 3 points here. Manchester City had the ball with Ederson on the edge of his own penalty area at walking pace and with it at his feet. He clips it forward, long, towards Alvarez, who's trying to run in behind Dunk. Sweeping up was Jason Steele. Takes it into the right full-back area, plays a little ball down the line for Dunk, and then they knit a passage of play together to get out. And again, it's good passing football under pressure from Brighton, and that doesn't allow City a shot on their goal.
It is high risk though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's exactly the way that sort of Pep Guardiola wants his team to play, and Roberto De Zerbi is asking players of a, should we say, slightly lesser level to do that, but Jason Steele playing like a top sweeper there.
Here is Barco out to Baleba, then back again towards the left-hand side, collected by Dunk and sent back to Van Hecke. Dunk's got it once more. Van Hecke to the left of him, plays it wide towards the left, and then it's back with Barco, the young Argentine, who actually already has an Argentine cap, I read earlier today, despite the fact that He is so youthful. Here he is trying to deal with the ball which is played down the side. Bernardo Silva almost got the better of him. It squirms through and goes back to goalkeeper Steele away to our left. It's Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. We played 7 minutes on Talk Sport. Another little cross turn from Jason Steele in front of Alvarez. And it is high risk, but it's also high reward, and they're playing up the pitch as a result of that. A little return ball into Lallana is too heavy from Pascal Gross, though, and it just nudges out of play on the halfway line, and it's away for a City throw.
I wonder who's the better footballer, Jason Steele or Edison? It's close. Jason Steele already showing his skills and also composure inside his own 6-yard box and doing little turns.
Brighton 0, Manchester City 0 on TalkSport with Now. Don't forget, with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Brighton against Manchester City live right now, contract free with a Now Sports membership. Search Now Sports. 28 minutes. Well, it's 8 minutes played, not 20. I was looking at the clock. It says 20:09. I thought, hold on a second, this has gone a bit fast. I know it's been a good start, but here is Gvardiol down the left into the path of Foden. Foden trying to jink away from Dunk. Out wide towards the left and Alvarez, and he then tiptoes forward, gives it back to Kovacic, and then it's given to Akanji, who's just in front of the centre circle. Manchester City haven't had much time to rest over the last few weeks. Intense clash with Real Madrid, sandwiched between big games in the Premier League and the FA Cup. That game against Real Madrid emotionally and mentally draining as well as physically draining, because it went all the way to penalties. And the effects of that were visible in the game against Chelsea at the weekend. And one player who didn't play in that game, John Stone, didn't play in the Madrid game, actually looked like he had played in both legs of the Madrid game, all in one afternoon.
Absolutely. And Nicholas Jackson, for all the criticism he gets, and rightly so in terms of in front of goal, I mean, he ran him ragged at times, didn't he?
Lallana trying to lead the press and nab the ball from Rodri. It looks like he's going to sit on Rodri tonight and try and stop him from getting on the ball and dictating the play. He's following him around in midfield.
It's interesting, without the ball, you know, it's Gross and Lallana who are pushing further up the most. João Pedro and Danny Welbeck are just being a little bit wide, and yet with the ball it goes into a 3 up front as well. So it's, you know, it's just so depends. These players nowadays with these coaches, Pep Guardiola and De Zerbi, there's so many layers to where the ball is, as to where they want their players positioned. It's not really major chances as yet, but it's fascinating to watch.
It's like a little tactical chess battle, isn't it, on the field of play?
Absolutely.
Baleba now taking his turn of watching Rodri. Lallana keeping an eye on Kovacic. He's got 2 arms in the air. It looks like it's some sort of signal for something. And Welbeck was doing his job. Alvarez drops in, followed by Van Hecke, picks the ball up in the middle of his own half from the goalkeeper Edison, back to Rodri, out to Foden, and then further out to the wide right-hand side of Bernardo Silva, who then sends it back to Akanji. It's good, coordinated play from Brighton and Hove Albion as they attack the goal away to our right-hand side.
I tell you what, this is like a training session for both sides. 10 passes as a goal. They're not actually trying to attempt at the moment to have a shot at goal. They're just trying to see who's the dominant one on the ball, see who can say, look, we're the one who's going to have the most possession. And at the moment it is just Manchester City, but Brighton more than comfortable positional wise to let City have the ball where they've got it at the moment. They're not hurting the home team.
It almost looks like one of those simulation videos when you're going through your coaching badges and watching the coordination of players where they should move at this time if this happens. It's pretty precise from both sets of players, and at this moment in time they're cancelling each other out.
Yeah, no one's diving in at the moment from Brighton, so they're all saying, because they know that if they do, then the ball can be nicked around you, and suddenly if one person's out of place, then the whole team are.
It's got a shadow boxing going on, isn't it? Here's Modder with the header away as he drops back into midfield, and then Veltman plays it against the face of Alvarez, and it bounces out for a throw on this near side down in the right full-back position. We've played 12 minutes on TalkSport. It's Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Manchester City 0, down at the Amex Stadium on a chilly night. Manchester City weren't at their fluent best on Saturday. Defensively they looked a little bit slow, as we mentioned earlier, and in behind their defence actually has caused them a bit of grief in recent weeks. It was an area of the field that Real Madrid exposed on a couple of occasions, and I wonder whether or not Brighton have got the pace to try and trouble that. Akanji and Ake at this moment stationed on the halfway line, and João Pedro and Welbeck right up against them.
Oh, we were at Selhurst Park a couple of weeks ago, weren't we? And, you know, they looked very vulnerable there. That was before the Madrid game. So there's no doubt about it, the way they play, they can be got at, as I say, if the plan can be executed well. And Brighton do have the pace, but it's just so difficult to try and do it at the right time.
Foul by Baleba on Kevin De Bruyne, given by Jared Gillett, the Australian referee. Lallana's not happy about the decision, and nor were the crowd in the stand that we're sitting in. We're in the bottom tier of the main stand on the dugout side of the ground, just a shade left of centre. The free kick is going to be awarded to Manchester City, 14 yards back from the edge of the penalty area.
There's a definite foul, there's no doubt about it. I know the Brighton players and some of the fans weren't happy with it, but I believe they certainly fouled him, and now they're in a position where, okay, in open play we haven't really created a chance. Now what can we see on a set piece?
De Bruyne's placed the ball down, delivered a couple of really good balls into the box that weren't converted at Wembley at the weekend. It's quite a high line from Brighton, about 3 or 4 yards outside the box. And it's going to be Phil Foden who whips it in, left-footed, in behind the defence, and they're arriving at the back post with Ake, and he slides in and spoons it over the top of the crossbar. It was a beautiful ball from Phil Foden, which cut through the Brighton defence, bounced at an awkward height for Ake, who came sliding in, and he couldn't keep it under control, and it went over the top of the bar.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, whenever he's on the ball, you're thinking maybe he should take it, but it definitely favoured a left footer to just dink it in behind and whip it round the Brighton defence, and that's exactly what Phil Foden did. Great run from Nathan Ake, but it bounced with the pace. Very difficult with him stretching to try and keep that on target. Again, matches are really, really tight. The set pieces do come into play.
And they do tonight, once again under pressure. Jason Steele gives it to Van Hecker. He sort of shovels it out to the near side. Welbeck does well to keep it in. Vardiol goes up against him. Hake was in there too. It goes out for a throw-in on this near side. It's a highly technical and tactical game once again between Roberto De Zerbi of Brighton, the Italian manager with so much charisma and animation on the touchline. Certainly if anyone gives him a run for his money in terms of animation, it's Pep Guardiola in the other dugout. Slightly sloppy pass from Lallana, almost put them in trouble. Taken down by Barco far side, and he thought he'd got away with it and kept it in, but didn't quite. And it was nudged out eventually, and it's going to be a throw-in which Kyle Walker will take.
Yeah, I like De Zerbi, I really do. I know he can be very prickly, and I do think it might put some owners off, but you know, if you can control him in the way that Paul Barber and Tony Bloom can here at the moment. And I think the football he plays is brilliant. You talked about the sloppy pass, but that's because he's asking his players and his centre-backs, as well as his central midfielders, to play as if you're in the final third, not as if you're in your own third. Lose the ball and sit here at Jason Steele.
Well, this is not going to be an easy game for Manchester City, and it certainly hasn't started in any other way than we expected, which is a real test. St Helens 0, Huddersfield Giants 10. Adam Swift extending the Giants lead. It's his 33rd try in 27 games. Over on TalkSport 2 right now, if you want to listen to the commentary from the Super League. Ball out on the right-hand side for Manchester City. Walker in towards De Bruyne. Oh, it's a brilliant diving header over the top of Jason Steele and into the corner of the net. And Manchester City strike first on the south coast. And it's a really well-taken goal from Kevin De Bruyne. His feet are like wands, but his head's not bad either. It's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1.
I think it was his Barnett that got on the end of that one. It was a fantastic header, you have to say, and it wasn't your typical Manchester City goal, just simply because the ball was played out wide. Really good play, first of all, from Phil Foden. The cross came in, and it was kind of a cutback, and he must be like 12 yards out. It's sort of in line of the penalty spot, but still at an angle. So he had to create and generate pace and power. It was kind of a diving header. He was able to come onto it, but still, he had to get it almost up and over Jason Steele. It was a wonderful header. Not, as I say, not your typical City goal, but Pep Guardiola delighted with that.
And it looked even better because as he threw himself full-blooded towards the ball, his strawberry blonde locks, which are much longer than they were this stage last season, were flowing in the wind. It looks brilliant in slow motion. and his main certainly contributed to the beauty of that particular effort. Ball nudged in behind for Gross to chase for Brighton, and Kanji makes up the ground quickly and shuffles it back to Ederson, and they've got it deep inside their own half. It's only his 6th goal of the season, Kevin De Bruyne, but boy, that was a really good goal, wasn't it? The way he took it, and it looks great. So I love a diving header.
Absolutely, and you know, in a game where we've hardly had any chances at all, and we might not have many more chances, we'll have to see whether the game opens up, because he's been very, I wouldn't say cagey, but just very technical and very tactical. Gave a few chances, you have to put them away, and that was probably no more than a half a chance.
He looked like Adrian Heath in the Everton shirt of 1987. You remember he'd scored a diving header or two in that Everton jersey. Here is the corner taken by Barco, and then headed down by Dunk and straight into the arms of the goalkeeper. It was a really good delivery, and Dunk actually got up highest, and there was a few getting a little bit excited, but it was straight at Ederson. He hardly had to move to catch it.
Do you know what? That wasn't dissimilar to the Harry Maguire header at Wembley at the weekend, where he rose a great ball to sort of the back end of the 6-yard box, but a more powerful header and in the corner as well, and Ederson would have had no chance. That's a chance, that.
Well, even when they have a test to pass, they always find a way to carve you open, City. Here is Alvarez, played in by Kovacic down the right-hand side, scampers forward, right-footed shot. He's an absolute power blaster from the right edge of the 6-yard box that goes flashing past Jason Steele's goal and goes out for a goal kick. And Brighton have got to be a little bit careful that they don't lose control here.
A brilliant 1-2 touch play from City, it really was, from back to front, and that's a tight angle for Alvarez, you have to say. He did right aiming for the far post, perhaps hoping if it wasn't going to go in that Steele would get a touch and it would just come out to an oncoming City player, but in the end Steele didn't get that touch and it was wide, but brilliant play from City.
Ball cleared away by Jason Steele upfield towards Welbeck. Welbeck gets it back to Veltman, and Veltman then sees it towards the edge of his own penalty area, and Van Hecke looking to build. He's had such an influence on tight games away from home over the course of the season, Kevin De Bruyne. Here is Baleba striding forward, almost lost the ball but managed to regather it, tries to poke it out wide towards the left, and it hits a City body, just carried it a little bit awkwardly as he got into the final third, and it was prevented from going the distance by Rodri. Once again, Modder steps out with the ball into the centre circle, collected by Barco, and Brighton have it on halfway. It's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Manchester City pouncing after 17 minutes. Kevin De Bruyne with yet another goal. If he's not finishing them off, he's often crossing them into the penalty area. This time he was finishing off what was a brilliant chance, a brilliant ball actually into the box from the wide right position, and a terrific header from Kevin De Bruyne.
It's interesting, not just watching the game, but watching the two managers. I mean, De Zerbi is bouncing up and down the touchline. Just saw Guardiola just on one knee. I don't quite know what he was looking at or whether he was just thinking, but even that's worth a watch.
Pure theatre, those two. Maybe they'll do a stand-up show, a double act show when they retire from football management. I don't think they'd want to share the stage with anybody else. Here is, in fact, actually, if they were going to share it with anyone, it would be each other. The interviews before the games were complete love-ins, weren't they? Ball switch from one side to the other. Gvardiol takes it down. He looks up, feeds Nathan Ake, who's 20 yards inside opposition territory, guides it back to Gvardiol once again, and then all the way back to Rodri. Shirt tucked in at the waist, as is always his wont. Back to Gvardiol, and then into Mateo Kovacic, who came off the bench, actually had a little bit of control at Wembley on Saturday. Interesting, Kevin De Bruyne, since he's come back from injury, and bearing in mind he spent 5 months on the sidelines, in 2024 itself, 5 goals, so 6 goals now, 12 assists in 17 appearances since returning from his hamstring injury.
And people say he's not been at his best.
And here he is bounding forward, getting towards the edge of the penalty area, trying a right foot shot which is blocked by Van Hecke and goes behind and away for a corner kick over on the far side. And that was his first ever headed goal in the Premier League, would you believe?
Well, he normally scores them, as you say, mostly with his right foot, sometimes with his left foot, but it does surprise me that's his first with his head.
I think he's probably now completed football, hasn't he? He can do everything. Score a goal with his head, win the treble. What else is there to do, Kev?
I think the World Cup's passed him by.
Ball in towards the near post, headed away, but only as far as Alvarez, who allows it to sit up in front of him, strikes it, goes wide of the left hand upright, and it's out for a goal kick to Brighton. And they've got to find a way of getting back into this game, really, because since that goal went in, the tide has turned in Manchester City's favour. They always looked as if they had a threat, but they have squeezed Brighton inside their own half of the field, and there's only been the very rarest of forays into opposition territory for Roberto De Zerbi's men.
Yeah, I think even before the goal, I think City was starting to really dominate in terms of possession. It's amazing how tight they do it there, isn't there, with Jason Steele just playing it in with his 4 Manchester City players ready to pounce. But Brighton, well coached by De Zerbi, wanting to play that risk and reward.
Well, there's confidence amongst the group, isn't there? I mean, Baleba, who's still an incredibly young man, he's only 20 years of age, the Cameroon international, as the ball goes into the box down the right with Foden. Foden was brought down outside the box, and then they waited to see what happened as he went into it. Advantage wasn't taken, and it's going to be a free kick right on the edge of the penalty area. So just a little nibble at him from Modder, and then there wasn't much in it from Lewis Dunk.
I think he slipped there. He's gone past Dunk, who's touched him a little bit. I don't think that's enough to go down.
No.
When you're running at pace, don't get me wrong, the slightest touch can push you over, but I don't think that was enough.
This is a soft free kick.
I don't think he was. He went down sort of diving.
No, he just lost his footing. Yeah, he got a little slap on the belly from Dunk. Nothing more than that.
Yeah. But this is a big position now, isn't it? It's a big moment to go 2-0 up in the game, and we're saying Brighton away and how good they can play, despite their form not being brilliant. This is a massive moment and a great position for whoever decides to take it.
Free kick on the edge of the area, and it's about a yard or so outside the box. Jared Gillett just lining up the wall. Brighton were furious about the award of this free kick. It's about a 45-degree angle to the goal. It probably favours the left footer here, I think, Scott.
Yeah, it does. It does, although Kevin De Bruyne allowed Phil Foden to take the free kick before because he was just whipping it in. This is a shot at goal.
Well, De Bruyne and Foden are over it. It's Foden who strikes it through the wall and in. Phil Foden celebrates by the corner flag. He loves a goal against Brighton. It's 7-7 against them now. But Brighton will be furious about the award of the free kick, which led up to the chance that Phil Foden has cracked through the wall with a little deflection to take it past Jason Steele. I think it came off Gross and went beyond the goalkeeper, and it's now 2-0.
Do you know what? That's unlucky. I'm wondering whether actually, the wall has split, but it hasn't. They've gone wide of the wall. But Gross, he's turning his body. Again, when you're in the wall or when you're just outside it, a shot coming, just stand still, cover what you need to cover, and then whatever gets hit, gets hit. Just by turning his body, it's come off his side. And Jason Steele's gone one way, the ball's gone the other, and talked about that being a possible big moment in the game. That's 2-0 up now. And where it was really cagey early on, City have just stepped it up a lot and put the foot on the gas, and suddenly it's going to be very difficult for Brighton to get back now.
24th goal of the season for Phil Foden, who loves a goal down on the south coast. He loves scoring against Brighton, and he loved that moment. He went away, wheeling away in celebration. I think because it signified that Manchester City have taken an iron grip on this game, and one of those away matches where people had suggested that possibly it could be a place they might slip, when they're well on the road to getting 3 points at the Amex Stadium.
Do you know what as well, we wondered how they'd be physically, and I thought with the extra sort of day or so that they've had since Saturday they'd be okay, and they have been very good. After the first couple of minutes, Brighton were given as good as they got in terms of possession. No one was really creating any chances, then City just literally stepped it up, and they've been excellent ever since.
It's a fortunate free kick on the edge of the penalty area. And he got fortunate with the deflection, I suppose, in a way. But Manchester City lead by 2 goals to 0. And the way the game has gone, I don't think that Brighton can have too many complaints.
No, do you know what? It's
a
probably
foul by Foden over on the far side. Barco went to get it, and he was late on him. It's a free kick just outside the area, left-hand side. It was an unnecessary challenge.
Yeah, it's a foul. It's nothing more than that. The crowd obviously trying to get behind the team and hoping that it'd get a yellow card, but it's a foul. But look, yeah, okay, a little bit lucky. You can say we've been awarding of the free kick, but you can say that Foden earned that luck by driving into the defence of Brighton, and then you can say a little bit of luck with Gross sort of turning his back, but Gross has got to be stronger there. You know, he's had a shot at goal, Foden, and again, you know, he's been bold on both occasions there. First of all, on the ball, winning the free kick. Second of all, a little bit of luck with deflection, but saying, I want this. So he's earned his luck.
De Bruyne and Phil Foden on the score sheet already for Manchester City tonight, and we played just 28 minutes on TalkSport. Here is Phil Foden, who's getting booed by the Brighton supporters after one scoring that goal and committing that foul on Barco. I'm not sure he'll be too fazed by that. He's got a thick skin. I wonder if he can replicate this goal-scoring form for England. The issue that they've got, though, is where they get him into the team. As De Bruyne threatens to run in behind, but Barco will tidy that up. Getting him in the team is a problem because he's thriving mostly in that number 10 position, isn't he? That's where he has been at his most effective for Manchester City. He has influence from the sides, but when he's in the number 10, he's absolutely deadly. He isn't going to play that position for England.
Well, no. I spoke to somebody who shall remain nameless, but let's just say a very, very big name of English football, past and present, who said to me that he'd play Foden ahead of Saka for England.
He's still not going to play at number 10, though, is he?
No, but he can play. No, he's not going to play number 10. Bellingham will play the number 10,
yeah.
but his next best position is probably on the right, just coming off and coming inside onto his left foot. But to be fair, tonight he's playing absolutely everywhere.
He certainly is. He's enjoying the freedom of the Amex Stadium. Here's Kovacic on halfway, taking the ball back and nudging it into the path of Ake. Akanji being told to narrow off and close the gap in the middle of the defence as Bernardo Silva takes the ball on and charges down the left, releases it to Gvardiol, a couple of steps in from the left touchline, and then it's on to Ake. Ake now back into centre field. Rodri spots a little gap, threads the ball through it, finds Kovacic, he helps it on in towards Alvarez on the D, tries to twirl away from one challenge, gets it out wide right, Walker with a low cross, and Jason still reacts well, grabs it. There was an offside flag up over on the far side by the assistant referee.
Yeah, but it's all City at the moment, isn't it? They are absolutely bossing this game at the moment. Kevin De Bruyne's popping up on the left, Foden's popping up on the right, and then 30 seconds later they've switched round. By the way, they have to find a way. Gareth has to find a way for Foden to be in the side. He's got to start.
He will start. This is rare, I suppose. Now, this is a rare foray for Joel Veltman into opposition territory. Now, Gvardiol's hand came across him and pulled him back. Linesman and referee did nothing about it. Veltman gave up the chase. The referee said play on, and the Brighton fans aren't happy about it.
I thought that was a foul. I thought he did grab hold of his shirt there, and now the linesman and the referee. I can understand maybe the referee's assistant should have seen that. Well, he clearly did see it, didn't think it was a foul, but Brighton just, you know, because they're completely under the cosh at the moment, I think they just feel that everything's going against them, but City just absolutely superb. They were off it at the weekend, and I wasn't surprised at all, but they're really bang on it tonight.
Well, Brighton have been under the weather for a little while now. The club that struck first at Anfield and only lost 2-1 at the Etihad have only won one of their last 7 Premier League matches, and that was against Nottingham Forest. The goals have dried up too. Evan Ferguson is injured. João Pedro hasn't hit his early season form since coming back from injury. And the Brighton fans have got a little frustrated that they've scored a paltry 4 goals in their last 7 appearances. They need to score 2 just to get on level terms here. Here is Jakub Moder finding Gross. Gross's ball is cut out by Bernardo Silva. Kovacic forward. De Bruyne wins it. He's got Alvarez on this left-hand side if he can feed him. He does that. Pushes it down into the left-wing position, and Alvarez now scampers forward. He gets into the box. He looks up. Not too many options in there, so he goes to the edge of the area in Kovacic, and the attack just loses its momentum a little bit for Manchester City, who lead by 2 goals to 0.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter for City whether they try and counter and it doesn't happen. They just come back Just keep the passing going. Death by 1,000 cuts.
Here is De Bruyne dispossessed Baleba out to the near touchline, and Brighton get hold of the ball inside their own half. Now they've got to find a way of getting out of the press and moving up the pitch. It's been a problem for them because Manchester City have smothered them right from the very front. Even Kyle Walker, now the furthest player forward, chasing, harassing, causing problems for Barco, who's playing with it inside his area, gives it to Jason Steele, has to twist away from Alvarez. It's a minute touch from Baleba, but it's given away inside the box. Foden is there to bury it! And they have run that ball inside the 18-yard box. They have turned it over high up, and they have punished Brighton at source. 3-0 to Manchester City, who are blowing away Brighton in this first half, and Phil Foden is at its heart. It's been a relentless Manchester City start to the game, and they've taken full advantage. Brighton 0, Manchester City 3.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic play for City. Well, they've shown in the first half an hour how good they are with the ball, but they've also shown how good they are without the ball. You know, De Zerbi's asking Brighton to do this. He's asking Jason Steele in his own 6-yard box to not get rid of it, almost to go round people, to take people on, play little 1-2 touches in their own box. It just takes one person to not play a decent pass, and there it was Barco. Fantastic pressing, the ball fell to Foden. It was a first-time finish, giving Steele no chance whatsoever. It's just not something you can do against Manchester City. I admire the principles of De Zerbi, but he's asking his team to do something they're just not quite capable of doing against the very best. And look at this, 3-0, 34 minutes gone.
Yeah, it's a real show of strength on the south coast from Manchester City. And it is the 9th time this season that a Brighton player has made an error leading to a goal. It's the most in the Premier League.
I'm not surprised though, Sam. It's the manager asking his players to do that. I bet if you took them to one side and said, look, off the record, do you really want to quite play this tight? They'd probably say no, but the manager's asking him to do it. They want to try and embrace his tactics, and as I say, against a lot of teams, the tactics can work. They can tire teams out, they can bring them on, beat the press and get attacking at them. But against Manchester City, and as we saw against Arsenal as well, against the very best, they just get found out. They're just not quite good enough.
Joel Bartman with the challenge on the near side that led to a free kick for Manchester City, but also led to a yellow card for him. He's getting a little bit frustrated. I mean, the only crumb of comfort for Brighton and Hove Albion is the fact that they do have and will get at some point chances of getting at the Manchester City back line. They haven't materialised yet, but although it was regimented and resolute last season, this season they've tended to have more holes in their defence than an Eric Ten Hag argument.
The game's gone though, Sam. You know, they may create chances from here and in, but the game's gone. You know, look, we've seen recently teams come back.
I was just about to say
this is Manchester City, not Manchester United.
Here is João Pedro down the right hand side, getting towards the edge of the box, skips his way in, fires it into the penalty area, goes right through the other side. Barco keeps it alive and shoots the ball towards the near post. It's blocked by Walker, then comes back in, takes a deflection, goes behind, and it's out for a corner over on the far side. Well, if they are to make a game of it, then a goal before half-time would certainly help.
They absolutely need a goal before half-time, just psychologically, to say, OK, the next one, and suddenly we're back in it. 3-0, sitting there, listening to the manager. I don't think anyone, whatever he says, will believe that they can come back into it. But look, stranger things have happened, possibly, but this is against Manchester City.
Barco's going to take the corner. Remember from the last corner, he created a chance for Lewis Dunk to get up high. Here he is, drifting the ball in towards the near post, flicked away by De Bruyne. Dunk heads it back towards the edge of the area, Foden away. Two players go for the same ball in Brighton blue and then lose out to Alvarez as a result of dawdling. It's collected by De Bruyne and he sends it all the way back to his goalkeeper and takes no chances. And that just showed that Brighton aren't maybe up to their usual speed. The hesitation as that ball came back, two of them getting in each other's way, no one took charge of the situation and Alvarez was profiting from it.
That's the lack of confidence, Sam. You know, neither of the two players wanted to go for it. You know, when you're in sync, then it just happens naturally. Someone get there, someone makes that early call, but that's the lack of confidence, getting done 3-0 half-time, and if City really want to, they could score a lot more.
I mentioned that City's defence had a few holes in it. It isn't that bad. They actually kept a clean sheet against Chelsea at the weekend, didn't they? It was the first time they've managed it, though, since the 0-0 draw with Arsenal last month.
Well, they conceded chances, though, didn't they? Lots of chances.
Just a bit.
Well, certainly quality chances against Chelsea.
Here is Welbeck on the near touchline with his back to goal, twists and turns and looks up and sees a little bit of movement from Lallana, but it's not where he wants to put the ball. Van Hecke then sends it square. Jakob Modder into Gross, under pressure again by City, who are just firing on all cylinders. They're running in at a relentless speed. The tempo and the intensity of their press is so high, and they squeeze up so well that they played Welbeck onside when they managed Brighton to beat that press and thread the ball through the City midfield. So Welbeck is penalised. But I mean, the intensity of the smothering from Manchester City is, I'm sure that other teams that aren't Brighton, who are used to taking care of the ball, would probably have suffered an even worse fate than Brighton have.
It's a great word, smothering. That's exactly what they do.
Kovacic steaming forward under pressure from Veltman, releases the ball square. Midpoint of the Brighton half is Kevin De Bruyne who opened the scoring here. We've got 7 minutes before half-time. It's been a dizzying performance from Manchester City, who have been on point with their pressing from the very off. This is Gvardiol into Foden. Foden back towards the left, and Gvardiol once again. He's got Alvarez in the centre and De Bruyne coming short. Touched away by Belabor, but they can't do anything more with it than just fend it off for a couple of seconds before City bring it back at them again and start attacking at will. Foden has already got 2 goals and is looking for another hat-trick in City colours. Rodri running centrally, releasing the ball out towards the far side. It's picked up by Bernardo Silva, swished out further towards the right edge of the penalty area. Walker turning it back to Rodri, and City just comfortable in possession enough just to keep Brighton at arm's length and wait for that right moment to pounce.
And it's the reason why he didn't pick the wingers. You know, he could have put Doku, could have put Grealish, could have put Bob. But no, he wanted those almost 5 central midfielders who, whether they're wide, they're comfortable out wide. If they go in the middle, they're comfortable in the middle. They can play little 1-2s, triangles. It's exactly the game that he was looking for, Pep Guardiola, and the team that he picked is reflecting exactly what's happening on the pitch now.
Absolutely, and it's like they've got an extra man out there at this moment in time. Ball played forward up to Welbeck inside the centre circle. Barco then turns it back to Van Hecke. What can Brighton do with this passage of play with 5 minutes to go before the break? Live on Talk Sport. It's currently Brighton 0, Manchester City 3. The latest odds are available at Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Brighton to win the game at 200 to 1. The draw is 66 to 1. Yeah, Manchester City unbackable, I think, at this moment in time. Well, no one's going to take any money on them. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes 18+B, gambleaware.org.
Did you say 200 to 1?
Yeah, to come back and win the game. I mean, in 90 minutes, that is,
yeah,
Scott.
Of course. Well, 90 plus whatever.
Stoppage time.
Yeah. Of course, we were at Bournemouth, weren't we?
We were at Bournemouth, where a team went in at 3-0. But far be it for me to cast any disparaging glances in the way of Rob Edwards' team.
Are you saying Luton are very similar to Manchester City?
But I think Manchester City have a slightly different level of resolute defensive nous.
Faker, others will be on you.
She will be, yeah. Should be on to me anyway. Here is Alvarez onto Foden. Bit of a gap forming. He runs at the defence. Veltman just about gets something on it. Guides it back to his goalkeeper by Van Hecke. And then Jason Still brings it out towards the near touchline. Just don't mention the word Luton, otherwise he's on the phone. We've got a big game coming up soon on Talk Sport Friday night. Luton against Everton.
I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be a crack. Are you doing that, Ian? Brighton 0, Manchester City 3. On Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. There'll be a few Brighton fans, I think, heading for their cars at half-time. If it continues like this.
Do you know what? I think this is one of those games now where if you're a Brighton fan, you stay to the end or you don't go home early to watch this. This is football in its purest form. This is absolute brilliance from a team that looks absolutely bang on.
They're standard bearers, aren't they?
Absolutely. And look, Arsenal have been superb again this year. They're even better than last year. And would be and will be, if they do win it, worthy winners. But at this moment in time, with this performance that we're seeing from Manchester City, I said it to Hugh earlier, I can see Arsenal winning every game, even the Spurs away. I think Spurs are vulnerable, as we saw in the Newcastle game, but I also can see City winning every single game.
Forever? Or just this season?
Not quite forever. I think I just saw a bad touch from Pep there.
Did you? It was Jason Still actually kicked it straight out of play, and Pep looked to try and bring it out of the sky. He didn't quite get hold of it, and then he sort of shuffled away as if someone didn't even try to.
No, absolutely. I'm cool, which he still is. And mind you, are they loafers or black trainers? Difficult to bring a ball down from.
They look like Doc Martens. Big, thick rubber sole on them, and they're leather.
Difficult to bring the ball down that way, isn't it? Wearing those.
Alvarez out to Foden. I reckon Foden could be playing in Doc Martens tonight and still look balletic. Here he is on the right hand side, back into Alvarez, onto De Bruyne, and then on to Kovacic, out wide towards the left. Guardiola takes it down, and Brighton, who haven't scored a midweek goal in 2024, find themselves 3-0 down before we've even reached half time. Here's Bernardo Silva on the far side, running into midfield. It's blocked by João Pedro, goes back to Rodri, and then it's centred in towards Kevin De Bruyne from Foden, who runs, gallops into the box. De Bruyne then tries to hit it towards goal. It takes a block off Dunk, ricochets behind and goes out for a corner on the far side.
It's just brilliant play from City. They pass and wait for someone to get tired. And the way that De Bruyne just plays the little 1-2 with Phil Foden, I actually think he should have shot a little bit earlier. By the time he tried to make the shot, he had 3 players around him, but just brilliant play.
Yeah, Brighton just haven't been able to get into the game at all. They had a couple of chances in the early part of the game, but apart from that, it's just been wave after wave of City attack away to our left-hand side. Ball into the box by Foden from the corner, towards the far post. Rodri away only as far as Alvarez, who brings it down, tries to bend it. Far corner, blocked by Modder, comes out of the box, collected by De Bruyne now, recycled once again. Rodri stayed up inside the penalty area. It's gone a little bit too wide for him, but he's kept it alive, and Alvarez has got it now. They just all look in tune tonight, don't they, Manchester City? Every single one of them is like a well-honed instrument.
It's so different, isn't it, from the performance on Saturday? Again, we were together, and I said before the game, they will be tired, they were leggy, but they found the way to win this. They're back to their very best.
3 minutes of added time at the end of the first 45, and it's 3-0 to Manchester City.
Doesn't flatter them, does it?
No, and they usually come into form at this stage of the season. Scott, I mean, if you go back over the last 4 seasons, they've won 60 of the last 77 Premier League games between Jan and May.
I reckon that's about 78%.
It's an unbelievable record, isn't it? When the business end of the season comes into view, they come into gear.
And this is what Arsenal are up against. This is what Liverpool are up against.
That's what everyone's up against.
Absolutely. Good luck to Chelsea and Manchester United.
Well, you can understand why those clubs have gone back to the drawing board and think, we'll start again, because they've got to try and find a system, a production line that generates enough talent to get to a point where they can compete with a team like this.
You know what I think about Pep Guardiola? I think he's one of the very best in the history of football.
So does Roberto De Zerbi.
Absolutely. The legacy, even before he arrived on these shores, I saw not just Premier League teams, but Championship, League One teams trying to play like Pep Guardiola sides. And since he's come after that first season, he knew exactly what was needed. Spent money on quality fullbacks. And he's just absolutely ripped the Premier League apart.
Ball sent down the right for Walker to chase. Usually he can chase into pretty much any area, but even that's just a little bit long for the speedster. Most sprints in a Manchester City jersey this season. Ake, who's pretty sharp as well with his feet and his mind, nudges the ball back as the long ball goes forward towards João Pedro on the edge of the Manchester City penalty. If you're Roberto De Zerbi, what do you do at half-time? How difficult is the team talk at half-time?
Well, I think it's very difficult. I mean, look, we must sort of stress again that Brighton have got a lot of players out. So, this is not like their first choice.
Ferguson's season is over. Estepinan's season is over. Milner's not available. Matoma's not available. Here's Foden. He's certainly available. And so is Alvarez, far post. If he can squeeze the ball to him through the penalty area. Watched by Modest, slid behind. And I think there was an offside flag up anyway before Foden embarked on his journey down the left-hand side. And it's going to be a free kick. And Pep Guardiola's actually really annoyed about it, because his point is, look, if that was going to be the case, why didn't you flag earlier? Foden's exerted himself, he's gone down the left-hand side, produced a cross, players have flung themselves at the ball to stop it from going in. Someone could have been injured. Yeah, I think he's seen it too many times, by the way. It's happened twice to them this season.
There we go, half-time.
There it is, half-time, maybe a subject for another day, and certainly Brighton will have to look to another day to think about amassing more points. Manchester City limped to victory on Saturday night, but they have blasted their way into a 3-goal lead with a relentless performance. Any thoughts that Brighton might do Arsenal a favour appear to have been incredibly misplaced. Goals from De Bruyne and 2 from Foden at the break means that it's Brighton 0, Manchester City 3. Yeah, we had a couple of changes at half-time for Brighton. Joel Beltman has gone off. On comes Adiluga Ofaya, who came through the ranks at Bromley as defender and gone straight into the action over on the right-hand side. Adingra has come on the right-hand side of the attack as well. Just trying to work out who he has come onto the pitch for. And as a result of that, it's just a bit of a shift around, with a fire going at right back for Veltman and Adingra going out on that right-hand side. And Manchester City unchanged from the start of the game. Adam Lallana has been the one who's gone off as Gross goes into the penalty area. Feels as if he was knocked over by Rodri. The referee says no. And it's play on, according to Jared Gillett. But I'm sure he will get a bit of attention from the Brighton supporters. He's waving away any protest of the penalty, saying he's not even checking with the VAR. What's your view?
No, I don't think it was enough. I mean, Rodri had his arm up against Gross, but he's gone down. It's not enough to bring him down.
No.
Got to be careful, obviously, once you do that.
He did have hold of his arm, didn't he?
He did have hold of his arm, but just penalties aren't, basically they're just not given like that. They're not. But it's been a good start in that sense from Brighton. Been trying to be very much on the front foot.
Change personnel, trying to change the outcome of the game. It's going to be incredibly difficult. They trailed by 3-0 at half-time. It was an exemplary performance from Manchester City, even by their high standards, in that first 45 minutes. They were properly on it. And interestingly, it's a display, one of the best halves of football that I've seen for quite some while, actually, from Manchester City, and a display that has taken place without Erling Haaland in the team.
Yeah.
That'll be something that'll be raised tomorrow, I'm sure, as a talking point.
I'm sure it will. I think it has been one of their best halves. I mean, the question was asked earlier, are Arsenal playing the best out the top 3? And they probably are, but City know how to win games, but they're not been quite as fluid. Well, today they have.
Ball switched out by Foden towards the near side, miskicked by Kyle Walker. The Brighton fans enjoyed it. It goes back to the edge of the box away to our right, and it's with Brighton and Hove Albion, who have in goal Jason Still, the right back now is a fire. Van Hecker, Duncan, Barker make up the back 4. It's Modder and Belaber in midfield, Gross in the 10, João Pedro on the left, Welbeck through the centre, and Adingra on the right hand side. And in black shirts with pink trim, attacking the goal away to our right, Ederson is the Manchester City goalkeeper, Walker, Akanji, Ake and Guardiola, then Kovacic and Rodri, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne and Alvarez, with Foden playing through the middle as the false 9. Alvarez and Silva very much the wide men in the game, although Alvarez occasionally going into occupied Dunk, but it's a very fluid system, and here Dunk heads the ball away but straight into the path of Foden, who runs over the halfway line through the centre circle out to the right.
Did you see that though? The ball went to Ederson and he knocked it long.
Yeah.
Even the best are quite happy to knock it long.
They're not reluctant to do it, they do it quite a lot. Here is Foden.
And I'll tell you about one of the best goals that was scored and most important goals that was scored last season in a game as Foden loses his footing and the ball goes out of play. In a game between the top two in the Premier League, the goalkeeper sent the ball long into the centre forward, who chested it down, turned, popped it off to Kevin De Bruyne, who scored.
Yep.
It was against Arsenal, and it was one of the most significant goals of the season, and it was scored by Manchester City in that fashion.
But my point is, you've got the top team.
Yeah. Kovacic exchanging passes with Alvarez. The ball goes to the edge of the box. Foden can't get hold of it, and then Barco will bring it clear on this left-hand side after a series of challenges, some of them emergency ones, and still very tight because they're pressing high up once again. Modder plays it across the face of his own goal, takes a deflection off Rodri, goes behind the way for a goal kick. You can now get to your point, sorry, but even we are being ridiculously pressed by Manchester City.
No, we are, and we're 30 yards from the touchline.
But our time is being squeezed by them.
which is good, because we want to see both sides still really going for it. As I say, Brighton very much on the front foot, trying to press as much as they can. But look at Jason Steele. Look, there's a yard away. Who is that? Is that Phil Foden? A yard away from Steele, and he's just saying, "Come on." Well, as he saw down the other end, Edison quite happy to knock it 50 yards down as they play from there.
Well, every pass out from the back has to be millimetre perfect, because every single pass is a centimetre from disaster.
I talk about Pep Guardiola's football in its purest form, and I'd say De Zerbi's probably taken it another step on. Little 1-2s and asking your goalkeeper to really bring on a centre forward or whoever's coming in and wait until they're just a yard away, and you're literally inside your own 6-yard box. It's high terror stuff.
And they've given a free kick away over on the far side, and Kevin De Bruyne is going to take it. Foden has placed it down. De Bruyne looks up, eyeballs the defence. It's another high line from Brighton and Hove Albion, are about 2 yards inside their box here, and this cross is coming in just a yard outside the area, wide on the left-hand side, so everything in a very narrow strip either side of the 18-yard line. De Bruyne's going to whip it in, right-footed. It'll be an arcing one, trying to get in behind the defence. Jared Gillett is not happy with something he's seen, so goes over and demonstrably reprimands Kovacic, who then says something into Jakob Modder's ear. And the ball goes into the box, actually left by De Bruyne and in by Foden into the near post, and it's flicked over the top by João Pedro. It's out for a corner.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the best of balls from Foden, but he's certainly, in the form he's in at the moment, he's more than happy to take it again, just try and whip it round the Brighton defence. And Rodri there was a couple of City players that were offside, but it was Rodri who ran from an onside position, and Pedro got just in front of him.
Here is the corner to be taken by Julian Alvarez. Far side, attacking the goal away to our right as we look at it now. In those pink boots, he scoops the ball forward. It's a deep one to Rodri, who tries to get up with a header. It bounces loose in the box, and João Pedro just thunders the ball clear. Properly hoofs it. Peter Kay at it. Exactly.
Even he thought, I don't want to bring the ball down in my own box and start trying to play little 1-2s.
No, and he smashed it right up over the halfway line and all the way back to Edison, who's got it on the edge of his D. The Premier League title race has seen top spot change quite regularly this season. In fact, it's changed a mammoth 21 times. The last time it changed hands like that was 5 years ago, when it switched 33 times, which is a Premier League record. The last 7 days have already seen Arsenal jump back above City, but a City win puts them within pouncing distance, with 4 and then 5 to play respectively. Here is Pedro trying to turn, getting into the box down the left-hand side, gets beyond Rodri and tries to poke it past Edison, who blocks him at his feet after he got a lucky ricochet to escape behind the defence. Ball cleared by Bernardo Silva, back to Carl Walker. He now takes a turn to side it clear, but an offside flag is up over on the far side.
Again, I have to give credit here to Brighton and to Barco in particular, because he made a mistake for one of the goals, but very tenacious there, winning the ball back, and a great bit of skill coming inside. He played to João Pedro, who somehow found his way past 3 defenders, but Edison came out really quickly. In fact, it was a Kanji, knocked the ball against Rodri, which then almost went into the path of Pedro, but Edison on his toes and just diving at his feet, making a really good save.
It is the tightest title race for 10 years, and it's well worth enjoying. And after this, we'll go to East London on Saturday for West Ham against Liverpool. Aston Villa Chelsea is 8 o'clock Saturday night in the Premier League. Sunday session comes from a variety of different places. I'm going to be in the studio on Saturday, but Alex Cook and Perry Groves will be at the North London Derby. We'll have reporters up and down the country on what is a busy day of Premier League WSL action. We'll keep you in touch. And then Tuesday night Champions League, Wednesday night Champions League, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday and Monday the Premier League takes centre stage again. The place to be, Talk Sport, live and free.
Thought you were Craig David then.
We got more than 7 days, fella. Here is Ake out to the far side. 50 days to the Euros today. Is it? Yeah. Excited? Wow. I think it's 50 days to the England's first game, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it was 100 days to the Olympics not that long ago, was it? So just 50 days haven't flown by that quickly. I realised you said the Euros. Yeah, absolutely.
The Euros, yeah.
I think it could be an historic year for English football.
Fingers crossed. Igor about to come off the bench, the central defender, and join the Brighton ranks. 3-0 to Manchester City, and we've played 54 minutes, nearly 10 minutes of the second half. They've won it high up here. Adingra, far side, trying to get away from Aka. It's pulled back. The referee said play on. The referee said they've had the advantage, so keep hold of it. I think in those circumstances, a little bit like last time when we were talking about Everton and Liverpool. Liverpool, when they've got the ball, want to play the advantage. Everton want the free kick, and Brighton there could have done with the pause in play and the ability to get the ball in the box.
Yeah, City just so good in the way they are, and certainly the fans wanted a foul there. Almost perhaps an acknowledgement from the referee that a foul was made. It was good refereeing. Play on.
Yakamoto's coming off, and on comes Igor.
Number 15, Yakamoto.
And goes off on the other side of the pitch, having spoken to Baleba. I'm not sure that Igor will go straight into the heart of midfield. It might be a little rejig here. They might move to a 3 at the back.
Yeah, it looks like he's telling Barco just to push on. He is on that left side of defence there. As Barco's pushing into midfield. We'll see whether it's a change of formation or not, but certainly Igor's coming to the left side of defence.
Yeah, he certainly is. Not scored for Brighton 4.5 years since his last goal. In fact, 26 years of age. Igor Julio from Brazil. They've won the ball again high up on the far side. João Pedro charging forward. He's got support on the right with Adingra. Adingra gets to the byline, produces a cross, hits the chest of Nathan Ake, goes behind and out for a corner kick on the far side. A few behind the goal are suggesting it might have hit a hand. I'm not sure that it did, and if it did, well, it did actually, and his hand was up.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a handball because he's trying to tuck it into the side of his body.
Yeah, it would have hit his body, wouldn't it? It's in the line of his body.
The referee says play on. VAR have quickly checked it. Nothing doing. Here is the corner, far side. Two will be taken by Pascal Gross, who's got 10 Premier League assists already this season. Only Ollie Watkins has got more. He's chipped towards the middle of the goal. Dunk is arriving back post. Van Heckel got in his way actually. And the ball was looped up into the air and caught by Ederson. Brighton 0, Manchester City 3.
You have to say it's been a really sort of positive start to the second half from Brighton. I mean, look, some would say, and they're probably right, that City are in second gear now, but when you're 3-0 down at home, start going out to the second half, you want to try and be on the front foot. You don't want another half like you just had to suffer there, and at this moment in time, City are not bossing it like they did in the first half. They don't need to, clearly, but Brighton are showing character and courage.
Dunk is back up after crashing down to earth on top of Guardiola. You know, like when you were at school and you used to stand up talking to your mates, and then one of the others would go round behind you, crouch down, and they'd push you over the back. Well, as Dunk went up to head the ball, didn't get there because Van Heckel got in front of him. When he came back down, Guardiola was on the floor in that crouch position, and he fell over him. Here's Foden winning the ball high up, giving it to Alvarez. Oh, spilt by Jason Steele, who has to scurry back out forward and stretch his arms to bring it back into his body.
Do you know what Alvarez will feel? As again, is Brighton trying to play the ball out from the back and giving the ball away. Foden does well just making that pass to Alvarez, and I feel he should be scoring from there, really, hitting the corners, not just straight at the goalkeeper.
De Bruyne into Foden. Foden whips an effort in towards the left channel, but it takes a deflection of the chest of Van Hecker and goes the other side of the goal and out for another corner.
Because Alvarez could do with a few goals, really, couldn't he?
Well, he has a bit of a dry spell, actually. It's funny you should mention that, because although he has got quite a lot of goals already this season, Julian Alvarez, 16 goals, 13 assists, he's only scored one in his last 16 appearances.
Exactly, and don't get me wrong, he's playing really well, but you want to contribute for scoring as well.
Here is Bernardo Silva to Foden, travelling into the box, trying to nudge it forward. It's headed away by Pascal Gross, collected by Kevin De Bruyne right side, goes beyond the Dingra, and there's a challenge from Barco, back to Steele. Steele's on his goal line as he plays it to Van Hecker. They make me nervous every time they play out from the back now. I don't know about the Brighton fans, and they've given it away on the left-hand side of the box. It's picked up by Alvarez, whose dipping volley actually almost went in at the far post. And it was an ambitious hit. It wasn't too far away, because it was really dipping.
I'll tell you what, that's a wonderful strike, and Steele was beaten. Steele must have been a number 10 as a kid.
Who, me?
Steele.
Oh, right, I was going to say.
Well, you might have been as well.
No
but
way.
The way he's playing, the way how comfortable he is on the ball, you can see why Roberto De Zerbi really likes him, but I just feel they're asking for problems.
Here is Welbeck, who takes the ball out of the sky well, then sends it out towards the far side, the right. Looked like João Pedro was in miles of offside there, and then eventually the flag goes up. He's complaining that he wanted the ball earlier. I mean, he probably should have timed his run a little bit better.
Yeah, he was well offside, wasn't he, by the time the ball came to him, and I think he was offside pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, there's not one moment there where they're in control of the ball on the right-hand side with a fire, and he's made the run at the right time.
No. I think that's a bit of just a frustration at how the game's going and how he, like most of the Brighton players, have been on the periphery.
Here is Welbeck on the near touchline, looking to find Barco now as they come forward. Barco's touch down the left was a little bit tame, cut out by Walker, and given straight back to Edison away to our left-hand side. City have been consistent away from home this season. They've won 6 of their last 7 on the road in the Premier League. They have conceded first in 4 of those games and trailed in 5 of the last 7, but although they haven't been perfect on their travels recently, they've been perfect tonight, and Walker has taken the ball down as the long ball goes up towards the edge of the area. He cuts inside, he's only got Steele to beat, sets it up for Alvarez into an empty net. It's 4-0. Brighton complain that in collision with Jason Steele, Walker handled the ball. Alvarez, though, is celebrating with the City supporters behind the goal because he believes he has established a 4-goal lead and has managed to end that long run without a goal.
Well, again, it's a ping from Edison, a 50-yard ball over the top of the Brighton defence for Kyle Walker to go on to. He's cut inside, Steele's come out, and I think he's complaining for a foul, but it's not. Kyle Walker has every chance, every right to go for that ball, and he does get it in what is a 50-50 with him and Jason Steele, and the ball falls to Alvarez, who won't have a simpler goal, will he?
Well, I think he did pop up and hit his arm on the way to goal, but it's not the immediate action before a goal is scored, and it's not what the player that did put the ball in the back of the net. I think it was a 50-50 challenge with Steele. He won that, and Alvarez has scored. It's 4-0.
Do you know what? They can do every single way, can't they, Manchester City? Obviously, with set pieces, the quality they got with De Bruyne and Foden, they can pass you from the back, and then they can just do an Edison long ball over the top. It's not a long ball, it's a long pass. Brilliant play from Kyle Walker. Realised he had to stretch, but wanted it, and made sure he got it just before Steele. Got a little bit of luck again, falling to Alvarez, but again, I say they've made their own luck there.
City fans doing the Poznan behind the goal. They've had a brilliant night so far. Their team have been outstanding from start to finish. Brighton 0, Manchester City 4 on Talk Sport with Now. And don't forget that with the Now Sports membership, you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Brighton against Manchester City live right now. No contract, search Now Sports.
City will try and win as big as they possibly can. Obviously, it was a big statement win from Arsenal. It's a big statement win from City here, but I don't think they're going to catch Arsenal in terms of goal difference.
No, but might as well give it a go. Here's Barco sending the ball in behind the City defence. Welbeck out to Adingra inside the area. He's got a chance, but he's closed down by Gusto Vardiol before he can pull the trigger. And he puts the ball behind and out for a goal kick. And Vardiol is congratulated by Edison for a diligent bit of defending.
Brilliant defending, really good. Good play from Brighton, you have to say. The moment Adingra's got into the box, Vardiol has just got there. He's read it really well, and he's actually got there first and kicked the ball onto Adingra. In the end, it just went off for what would be a goal kick. So a perfect challenge, you have to say, from the City defender.
Foul on Foden by Jean-Paul Van Hecke, who is pressing high up inside opposition territory. Foden is not happy with the challenge from Van Hecke. He thinks he was pushed in the back, and then I think he caught something on the head as Van Hecke went to ground. And the free kick has been given in favour of the Manchester City and England man. Well, it's been a tough night for Brighton. It's been a very good night for Manchester City so far, who have reasserted their authority. If it was questioned at the weekend, they have re-established it. Gareth Southgate sitting not too far away from us somewhere here by the looks of it. Just having a look to my right to see if I can see him. He's here tonight, keeping an eye on Phil Foden. He must be in one of the posh seats because he's got one of those blankets.
You're still jealous about that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Someone just a couple of yards away from us has got a blanket as well.
Very
so
snug as well.
They're not posh seats. You're not posh enough as a person, Sam, clearly.
I think that's probably right. Pretty happy with that depiction though. Brighton have been in the top half of the table all season, are actually going to drop out of the top half of the table at the end of this match day, which will be the first time that's happened to them all campaign. And they want to finish in the top half of the table for the third successive season. Here is Kovacic back to Ake across the face of his own goal. There was a risky pass actually just prior to that from Edison, who actually sort of cleared it from almost on the goal line. He was so casual at doing it though. Here's Alvarez sending Walker down the right side, and again he scampers forward. He's got options in the centre. He cuts infield. Kyle Walker sends it through the middle of the goal. It pops off of Van Hecke, and then it's headed into the air by Baleba back to his goalkeeper. I just think Walker actually probably would have been better driving more centrally once he got in behind the defence and pulling the trigger himself with his right foot.
Yeah, he did come inside a little bit, but yeah, he was kind of looking up and thinking, how can I pass it, rather than having that sort of striker's attitude of how can I get a shot on goal.
You fall back to get into that position, do you not think glory at 4-0? No. Do you not think...
No, do you know what? Kyle Walker's... You know, when I was playing, I'd much rather have made an assist and scored a goal. I'd much rather have put in a really good cross for somebody than be that person at the end of the cross.
Why? Because it was your job to do that rather than...
Yeah, just, you know, I've never really... Just as well, because I probably wouldn't have made it as I wouldn't have made it as a striker, but absolutely, you know, your job is first and foremost to defend well and try and keep that clean sheet, and then if you can, you know, play a little 1-2 with someone and whip in a great ball and make that assist, that to me, I think Kevin De Bruyne even said that one time, that I'm more than happy to make an assist rather than actually scoring. Obviously he's more class enough to do both. I think Kyle Walker, I mean, what a player he is, and the pace that he's got, even at the age he is, and he just keeps on going, doesn't he? Must be an absolute nightmare, not just for the winger up against him, but the fullback up against him, to think that little 1-2 like there with Igor, and suddenly he's in and he's treading water trying to catch him.
Ball going away by Rodri cheaply to Adingra, who clips the ball over the top to Pedro, falls over. Barco picks it up left-hand side, tries to cut infield. Bernardo Silva wins it ahead of Barco. Manchester City turn it over. The thing is that those players that are so talented, Bernardo Silva, Foden, De Bruyne, they get through so much work going back to help out their team defensively. And no wonder so many of them were knackered at the weekend, because they do really exhaust themselves in doing work with and without the ball.
It is just a great lesson, you know, not just the likes of the Chelsea players and the Manchester United players, but kids around the world with all the talent they've got, and yet they're still working as hard as they can. And you know what? That comes from the manager. He's the boss. He
demands it.
Absolutely.
Grealish and Matthias Nunez about to come on for Pep Guardiola's team. Some massive place. And the altruistic Scott Minto here at the Amex Stadium.
What does that mean?
Means you're more interested in others than yourself, which is why you'd rather to give an assist than a goal. Here is Welbeck down.
Every day's a school day with you.
Side into Gross, then back via Baleba to the edge of the penalty area, and Van Hecke brings it out from the back once again, and now a fire speeds forward at real speed down that right hand side, and boy has he gone. He's got some help from Adingra now, edge of the area, plays it infield, gives it to João Pedro, a little turn or twirl away from De Bruyne, and then he runs to the edge of the penalty area, gets inside the box, gets past one challenge, and then another, gets pushed to the floor, wants a penalty, can't believe he hasn't got one. Josko Gvardiol seemingly pushed him in the back. The referee has suggested he was looking for it. My first thought when I saw it with the naked eye was penalty. Let's have a look at the replay.
Well, I'll tell you what, it deserved a penalty. How good the move was. He goes past Ake. And Guardiol, I think he's looking for it, João Pedro, but Guardiol's not made any contact on the ball, and he has on Pedro. For me, that's a penalty. But then VAR, is it a clear and obvious error?
I think it's a penalty. Here is João Pedro again driving into the box, trying to get away from Rodri, away by Ederson, and it's cleared out on this near side. They're going to stop the game now. They're going to stop the game. No penalty, says the referee. He waited a second there and then waved away the protest. Straight away, Jared Gillett.
It's a pen. It's brilliant play down the right-hand side, and it's ended up as João Pedro has gone into the box. Look, do you know what? He kind of has put his legs back as if he's waiting for the touch. But I still think there's enough in that there to give the penalty. He's put his arm across him, he's caught him on his legs, and yes, he's looking for it. I think that's a pen. The only thing I would say is, in terms of the VAR point of view, is it a clear and obvious error? There's enough of an argument to say that he has gone down too easily. But it's a pen for me. I think we've seen in recent weeks as well that VAR, I think there's been a directive, to be honest with you, of try not to get involved unless you really have to. Seem to be making more issue of VAR getting involved than not.
You're not fit to referee is the verdict of the Sussex public. I mean, it was a good run from João Pedro, a purposeful run from João Pedro. I think it would have been on the soft side had it have been awarded, but I don't think, a bit like it's not going to be overturned by the VAR because it hasn't been given, it would never have been overturned if he had awarded the penalty.
Yeah, either way it wasn't clear and obvious, so in that sense you could maybe argue that, but I do think it was a pen. He was looking for it.
Yeah, I think that's probably gone against him.
Yes,
the fact that he was seemingly looking at it and trying to find a way to engender the contact.
It is tough though, isn't it, Sam? You have to say, for the officials, the pace that these players are running at. And obviously the referees only get one look at it, VAR gets more, but the directive is clear and obvious.
This week.
And do you know what? I think, whether it's right or wrong, the decision.
Now, I said that in a way which sort of sounded like I was having a joke, but I don't mean to be rude, but clear and obvious this week means something that it didn't mean last week. Do you know what I mean?
Each individual incident is individual.
Nunez out to Grealish, edge of the penalty area. On the reverse is Gvardiol. Low ball into the area, which is easily stopped by Jason Steele from inside the 6-yard box and bowled away. And that's one of the bones of contentions, I think, with people who are a bit fed up with VAR, is that one week they'll see a decision that goes a certain way, and the next week something almost identical will go the other way.
No, and that's wrong, but there are people out there who think that VAR should get everything 100% right.
Which it's never going to do.
Never going to do, because it's run by humans. So I just feel, I'm still for VAR, was in the first place, not how it's run now, but just the lightest of touches. The referee should be in charge, and yes, he's going to make mistakes. I just think though, Sam, we just had shifted the blame from the refs to VAR, and if we did get rid of VAR, we'd just go back to the refs again.
Odingra trying to outpace Akanji, but he timed his run well, moved in front of the Ivorian and clears it away. O'Mahony, who is a tall Irish striker, about to come on for Brighton and Hove Albion. Looks in very similar mould to Evan Ferguson. Mark O'Mahony, not scored a senior goal. He played 1 minute of Premier League football against Burnley so far for Brighton. And the teenager is about to come on and get involved tonight as well. I did see, I'm sure I saw Adam Webster about to get involved as well. Here is Welbeck, edge of the area, trying to get to shooting position, gets onto his left foot, drives the ball goalwards, but is underneath it, well over the top of the crossbar from Welbeck. And on comes O'Mahony for his home debut.
I mean, what I would say is the way that Brighton have shown character and courage in the second half, they deserve a goal. I think they've worked hard in front of their home fans. They could have gone under. Yes, City have stepped it off a bit. They're not the same team in the second half as they were in the first, and that's understandable. But, you know, against this team, one of, if not the best team in the world, very difficult to keep going, but they have shown character. I do think I'd like to see them score.
To Manchester City. I just had a swig of water and it went down the wrong hole.
I was going to ask, are you okay?
Yeah. Don't worry about me. I noticed you didn't say anything.
I wanted to.
You just left it the silence there. Don't worry.
I was looking around for medics.
No, I've got it, mate. It's okay.
I'm on first aid.
I thought you were altruistic Scott.
I did a CPR course actually.
Did you?
Yeah, last Sunday. Don't be the first person for me to try it on, mate.
I'd rather not be, if that's okay. 15 to go. And remember, when you wake up tomorrow morning, we'll review all the action on the Premier League All Access podcast and preview the weekend's football. Big weekend of football, including Tottenham against Arsenal, which is massive. A yellow card for Belieber for a little tug back on the Manchester City midfielder, and it's going to be a free kick to City just inside the centre circle. I can see Jeremy Doku, Sergio Gomez and Rico Lewis all coming on.
Yeah, not surprised at all that Pep Guardiola didn't make any substitutions at half-time, but not surprised at all that now he's making them all. The game is won. He needs to keep his players fresh. The battle won, but not the war.
Yeah, there's still a long way to go as far as that is concerned. Forest away on Sunday, Wolves at home, Fulham away on TalkSport next Saturday, Tottenham away live on TalkSport the following Tuesday, West Ham on the final day. Win all 5 of those, they'll be champions of England again for the 4th successive year.
Just takes one off day though, doesn't it?
Just one. And Arsenal will be hoping for that. The Manchester City fans will certainly not be. Brighton's only goal in the last 3.5 games was an own goal from Aro Muric. That is something that I think will be troubling Roberto De Zerbi, a team that scored a lot of goals and conceded a lot of goals last season. They haven't looked as sharp in front of goal this time around. Kyle Walker ready to throw the ball in from the near side. It's going to be this opportunity to make some changes. Bernardo Silva is the first one to come off, and he will be replaced by Doku. Second one to be changed is going to be Kyle Walker, who's standing on this near side and is none the wiser that he's going to be replaced. And he comes off, and he's thinking, who should I give the captain's armband to? He went up to Rodri, and Rodri said give it to somebody else. And he's going to give it to Nathan Aka. He's going to walk over and put the armband on just to waste a bit of time, and Rodri's coming off, and Sergio Gomez is coming on.
Well, no surprises there. Foden off, De Bruyne off, Rodri off, Walker off.
All the big hitters preserved.
Absolutely. Job
Walker,
done.
Rodri, De Bruyne, Foden and Bernardo Silva all
Silva,
off.
yeah.
And Kyle Walker, who is now getting a talking to from Pep Guardiola. They are 4-0 up, and he just wants to give him just a little bit of feedback. Constructive criticism, maybe.
Well, he's done it in front of the camera, so ego again, isn't it?
Tongue firmly in Scott's cheek there, by the way, Manchester City fans. Don't write in.
Well, I've already said what I thought about Pep Guardiola. I think people know.
Here is João Gomez on the near touchline, prevented from going any further by Kovacic, and then the ball runs loose for Barco, but tied up by Matthias Nunez, and it's back with Manchester City. Imperious Manchester City. Haven't lost consecutive games here, Brighton, since December 2022. But when you play Arsenal and then Manchester City in succession on your own patch, then it's a major surprise if you don't lose both. It would have been a major surprise if they had have got something from tonight. They were huge odds against to win this game. 7-1 I think they were, which was a lot shorter than Chelsea were at the weekend, and a lot shorter than Coventry were at the weekend to beat Manchester United. The bookies thought that there would be a reaction from Pep Guardiola's team. It's currently Brighton 0, Manchester City 4. The latest odds are available at Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Brighton to score the next goal at 16-5, Manchester City to score the next goal at 21-20, or back no scorer at 15-8. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes 18 plus BigGambleAware.org. Here's Gross, edge of the area. They turn the ball over, cut out by Jack Grealish, back through Barco, who moves up towards the left edge of the box, and then Gross goes back in field. It's been a good response in the second half from Brighton, without any reward, but they've only conceded one more goal in this second 45. That was Alvarez's goal after a long ball forward by Ederson was met by Walker. He cut in field, won a 50-50 with Steele, and it rebounded into the path of Julian Alvarez, who got his second goal in 17 appearances. Ball clipped out towards the near touchline, taken down well by Barco, whose ball is hefty and right the way through the penalty area and cleared over the top.
Yeah, there's only been one goal in the second half, and Brighton, as I said a couple of times now, have shown a lot of courage to really keep trying to attack against Manchester City. But look, if City needed 5 or 6 to win the Premier League title, they absolutely would have kept their foot on the gas. They were superb in that first half. They really were.
Just in a picture of Paul Barber, the chief executive, high up above our heads here. Roberto De Zerbi strolling around inside the technical area. And Brighton think that De Zerbi's going to stay as their manager next season, despite the links with first Liverpool and Bayern and others. And there aren't loads of up-and-coming managers with the sort of pedigree that he's got, and certainly not that many that is as highly regarded by Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, who have clearly got a defined way of coaching, even if at times they are a little eccentric. What do you think he should do at the end of the season?
I think he'll be at Brighton. I think he should stay at Brighton. It sounds to me as if, I don't know in what section he was linked to Liverpool, but Liverpool never really came out and made it look like they really wanted him.
No.
I'd say it's the same for Bayern Munich as well.
Given away by Doku, picked up by Barco, into the box. Adingra tries to take it under his control, but can't. It goes through his legs and out and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Brighton 0, Manchester City 4.
Xavi's waiting, or going to have another year at Barcelona, so we'll wait and see what happens in a year's time. Jurgen Klopp might come back off his sabbatical, you never know.
Pioli is going to leave AC Milan at the end of the year. Here is
Allegri probably won't stay at Juve.
Alvarez, so there'll be jobs. There's lots of big jobs available, aren't there, at this moment in time? Jose Mourinho needs a job, though, somewhere.
There's a lot of big names that actually aren't being linked.
Yeah.
Zidane, Conte, Mourinho.
Got enough money, don't need the stress.
I think Mourinho would love it.
Yeah, well, he's the exception to the rule, isn't it? Because it doesn't matter how much he's got in the paper packet. He wants, he loves the attention, he loves the buzz of it. He wants to be out there and, in the limelight, orchestrating, coaching. His interview at the weekend was a come and get me plea for anyone who has a realistic aim, he said. Just because I'm Mourinho, don't give me a club that finished in mid-table and expect me to win the Champions League, he said.
You've got to be careful what kind of club you're actually coming in for. Be realistic about that. But no, I think De Zerbi should stay. And I think he will.
O'Mahony sends the ball out wide for Brighton into the path of a fire. It goes back infield to Pascal Gross, and Brighton keeping hold of the ball with now just 6.5 minutes to play on TalkSport. Brighton 0, Manchester City 4. And O'Mahony's been played the ball by Barco. Barco's had to scurry to keep it in on the near touchline. Attention coming from Rico Lewis, who had made 3 consecutive Premier League starts before today. And the referee gets in the way of Believer's pass. It's going to be an uncontested ball. He's not very popular here, Jared Gillett, because of a couple of his decisions. One to give a free kick to Phil Foden, which was probably undeserved, and maybe change the tie a little bit, because despite the fact that certainly they were on top, Manchester City, that gave them a big advantage. Edison's come a mile out of his goal, and it might be returned with interest here, but he scurried back quickly in between his sticks as he initially met Adingra, and then when it fell to Believer, he couldn't quite get it out of his feet to loop it back over the top of the Brazilian. Took his time.
Worth a go, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Here is Igor on the overlap, played in by João Pedro into the centre. João Pedro connects and sends it wide. I'm not sure how he's missed that. Nor is De Zerbi. They did brilliantly actually to keep hold of the ball, switch the play to the left. It was played in to the path of Igor by João Pedro. It came back to him, but I just think he lost his coordinates.
Yeah, he was too much kind of near side of the near post. He wasn't able to open his foot up and just half a second let it come across his foot. Yeah, therefore would have got it on target.
He ran across the near post, didn't he? And the ball came across his body, and instead of just opening himself up and putting it in the other corner, he just tried to put it goalwards, and it was well wide.
He wanted to make the good connection, but he needed to wait until the last possible second because of where he was in terms of the goal and also his body position as well.
It's worth pointing out about De Zerbi, I know we were having our discussion about him, but over his tenure here, only Manchester City have averaged more possession, only City, Arsenal and Liverpool have had more shots on goal than his Brighton team.
I think he can absolutely manage a Champions League club and in the Premier League. I really do. I think he's good enough to do that. I think he's got to be careful because his talent is there, and obviously you can see his ambition is there with what he's already said at Brighton, but I definitely think with the stats that he's got in terms of the way he wants his team to play, and you've already come out with a couple there with a team like Brighton, again, with all due respect, the budget, but also the injuries and the combination of never having to deal with Premier League and Europa League. You know, I think, okay, 6 wins out of, what was it, 26? It's not good, but if he had a better class of players, he would play this way and get a much higher win percentage.
Lewis on halfway for Manchester City, who are heading towards another victory, and on the horizon they can see a 4th consecutive Premier League title. Leeds United can see the Premier League, they want to get back there. They play QPR on Friday night live on TalkSport. Saturday's a bumper day of live football. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 live commentaries for you on Saturday. West Ham, Liverpool, Derby, Carlisle, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Chelsea, Barcelona in the Champions League, Aston Villa, Chelsea, and Hull against Ipswich. What a great day that is. And Sunday, the Sunday session will be live around the grounds, including the North London Derby at 2 o'clock. We'll be on air from 1:30. 3 minutes to go here. And here is Rodri. Rodri's Messias Nunez. Looks a little bit Rodri-like there. I think it's because he had his shirt tucked in at his waist. That's my key identifier with Rodri. Plays the ball infield, gives it to Sergio Gomez, goes back to Ake, and then Kanji switches it back to Ake on the far side. A few empty seats inside the stadium. I think the Brighton fans have had their fill of watching Manchester City look at their very best tonight. Matthias Nunez just strolling forward now. Chelsea have released a statement in the last few minutes in which they've said that Enzo Fernandez has got a problem with his groin that has required surgery. It's something that I mentioned to you a little bit earlier on in the build-up to the game. He's going to miss the remainder of the season. There's more available for you at talksport.com. And the sports bar's open for business. And Jason Cundy alongside Jamie O'Hara. I wonder how good his Brighton knowledge is when he starts that show with the duck noises and says, has anybody seen He's definitely in there. Norman Cook's definitely going in there. Fatboy Slim's definitely going in there. Brighton Rock, I'm going to guess that gets a mention.
Again on H&J with Paul and Charlie, they were doing that as well. Pebble Beach came out.
Did it? Mm-hmm. Here is Kovacic in the middle of the park. Out towards the far side. Here is Grealish on the halfway line for Manchester City, looking to extend their lead as we go towards the final few seconds of this match. The City knowing that they have sent a message to the rest of the Premier League. We are here and we are strong. We are just as inflexible and infuriating as they've been for other teams in the Premier League for the last 4 years. And Brighton don't have a particularly good record against the top six this year, which is a shame for them because they had their number this time last year. Doku on the outside, tries to get the cross into the box. It's headed away by Baleba, collected by Nunez, and it's out towards the edge of the centre circle. Again, De Zerbi frustrated. He cuts such a frustrated, animated figure inside his technical area. Grealish now turns it back.
Do you know what, Sam? I do get how people perhaps don't want Manchester City to win another Premier League title. You know, they don't want that kind of like boring dominance. For me, it's not. I was having a conversation with Dad last night, massive Liverpool fan, gutted that they lost, and he said, I want Arsenal to win. But I feel we're seeing history in the making here, one of the best teams English football's ever seen.
Foul by Ake as João Pedro nips in front of him, and the referee gives a free kick, and it's cheered inside the Amex like a goal. Everyone's being rather sarcastic, I think. Take the wins where you can.
It's like a goal, isn't it?
João Pedro bending the ball into the box, deep towards the far post. It came through to Adingra, who was the player of the match in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations after his influence in that game. Didn't quite connect with it. It goes behind. No doubt who I think the player of the match will be in this game. He's sitting on the bench at this moment in time for Manchester City. We'll ask you about it later on. I won't give it away.
There's a few sitting on the bench there.
Yeah, De Bruyne scored. Foden's got 2. Alvarez on the score sheet tonight.
Walker made an assist.
Walker with an assist. Walker with a good contribution as well to the team. Here's Matthias Nunez, dipping his shoulder and getting away from Baleba and then striding purposefully through the middle of the pitch, releasing Alvarez. He's got Lewis outside him towards the right. He forced him a little wide into the box. He sends it low towards Grealish. It's too close to Van Hecker and it's cleared away. Wasn't a great ball from Alvarez to Lewis, was it?
It wasn't. He played it too late, didn't he? And by the time Lewis had the ball, he was almost just stopped. Tried to cut the ball back, but it was well read in the end.
He was just ready to start talking about the fact that he only scores against those who compete in the N23 derby, because his other 2 goals have come against Crystal Palace.
Is that right?
Here is Barco on this near touchline, 2 yards in from the touchline, feeds the ball to Mark O'Mahony. Here are interesting tale to tell, won't he? His first experience of Premier League football prop. I mean, he played for a minute, I said that at Burnley, but he's had an extended period in the blue and white of Brighton tonight, up against the very best. Here's Barco into the centre, looking for O'Mahony, and Ake just steals in front of him and heads the ball behind and away for a corner away to our left.
Well, I think the way that Brighton have never given up, they deserve a goal, but from City's point of view, they really want to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah,
they've dominated this game.
There haven't been enough of them, and that's how they got the job done last season.
Yep.
That solidity instead of sparkle got them over the line at the end of last campaign. Will it be the same again? This will be 2 clean sheets in a row. Barco fires the ball into the box. Van Hecker was arriving. It was watched by Ake. He thundered it clear, and it goes out over on the far side. It's been a little bit downbeat in here tonight. I haven't even seen that geezer I usually see with a seagull hat on. Brighton 0, Manchester City 4 on TalkSport with Enterprise. Rent a car, whatever the mission, home or away. Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. And I noticed that you all look to your left there because you know where he sits. See if he was there.
You were looking to the left, so we saw the hard man who walked.
The hardest geezer.
The hardest geezer. Did he walk or run, Africa?
He ran.
He ran.
Can't believe you just questioned the hardest geezer. Here is Alvarez playing the ball down the left for Doku. Doku into the penalty area to finish it and make it 5, saved by Steele. This pops it into the air, it drops for Alvarez, it's still not dead yet. Picked up by Fire and sent out towards this near touch line. Takes a cannon off of a Manchester City body, and the referee is now just going to check with the VAR on this. Joey Gillett, it's just not a good idea. just don't, Bella.
Doku might just have felt with a bit of better finishing that he could have made that 5. Decent save from Steele, but he needed to go further out for it to curl in at the far post, but no, that was never a penalty.
All out of play on this near side. Sports Bar on the way. 03717 222 334. Breakfast back tomorrow morning. Gavier Fonlahors with Alan Brazil, and we'll bring you some live interviews in the Sports Bar from Pep Guardiola and from Roberto De Zerbi. Hugh Wissendorf, I think, is going to go down and do those in just a moment for us. Here is Doku into Nunez, switching the play to the left. It's now with Grealish, who is surrounded immediately by blue and white jerseys. Back to Nunez. I think one of the things that you've seen from Brighton is that they are very much together, and they're all working for De Zerbi, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, I hate that phrase anyway, that managers lost the players. I mean, should be working for yourself and the club, the fans, the club that pays you.
But they're all on the same hymn sheet, you can see that.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's the full-time whistle. Manchester City won't give a single inch in their bid to retain the Premier League, and in doing so hope to make history. Another day, another win, another step forward to the unprecedented 5 more hurdles to jump. Forest next, then Wolves, then Fulham with us live on TalkSport, then a trip to Tottenham live on TalkSport, as well as the game at home to West Ham United. 5 wins and it will be 4 Premier League titles in a row, no matter how good the rest are. Tonight at Brighton, the damage was done in the first half. They blew them away in the first 34 minutes of the game. They extended their advantage in the second half with Alvarez, but by then Foden and De Bruyne had done their work, departed the scene, and they'd put 3 points on the board. It's been a fascinating game, a wonderful battle between two managers who have a certain way of playing their football, a way that keeps you compelled and enthralled. It's finished Brighton 0, Manchester City 4.